Welcome and thank you for joining us today in the Power Method Wellness Group and on Facebook. We're doing a live session here with a good friend of mine, Kelli Calabrese. And I want to welcome Kelli today. She is an amazing person, and let me tell you a little bit about her. I met her about a year ago through a good friend of mine and mentor, Kyle Wilson. I was invited into his mastermind and I started presenting. And so I first got to meet Kelli in Dallas in May of 2019, where I heard her speak. And during that time, I learned a great deal of information about her and was astounded by all of her accolades. She has been in the health and fitness and wellness industry for over 30 years. She has owned 4 health clubs as well as 9 corporate fitness training centers. And not only has she done all of that, she coaches people, especially on mindset and just improving your positivity, as well as she has 2 books out. She's co-authored and they've become #1 best-selling books on Amazon. So she has really taken charge and has done so many things for those of us who want to be entrepreneurs. She is a great person to talk to about that. And those of us who are just trying to make little changes in our life to improve ourselves on a daily basis. Kelli has so much wisdom. And I thought it would be great to interview her today so that she could share some of what she uses in terms of her coaching other people, what she uses in her daily life to improve our energy and just outlook in this world. So Kelli, thank you for having us today. Please share us a little bit more about your background, because I know I just touched on the very little bits, but I would love to hear a little bit more about you.
Amy, I am so happy to be here and so honored. You are one of my favorite people, and you have personally helped me through your coaching. And that's why I'm so excited about what we're going to talk about today, because I know we just mutually connect on this topic. I'll go back a little bit really quickly. When I was 13, I decided I will be an exercise therapist. I wrote that in my journal, not even really knowing what that was. But in life, we do things to move away from pain and towards pleasure. And my pain was a very strong family history of heart disease, diabetes, obesity, cancer. I mean, just kind of stressed out. And I looked at that and went, ooh, I don't really want anything to do with that. And my moving towards was, I was happy when I was running, jumping, dancing, swimming, softball. I mean, this endorphin rush was amazing to me. It wasn't something I had ever experienced, and I just loved it. So I was committed to it, and I wanted to help as many people as possible experience this, great endorphin rush and how good you can feel when you take care of your body. So I kind of figured that out at 13, and by 17, I was certified as a fitness professional. I was teaching classes, and by 22, I had 3 science degrees in exercise physiology and cardiac rehab, and that's been 34 years ago since my first certification, and it's been an amazing journey. I've really been blessed to do so many things, in my industry. I've been on all the networks, and that's been fun, and I've run fitness boot camps and network marketing, nutrition companies. I mean, what makes me get up and put my feet on the ground and be excited is helping people. That's been 34 years in spirit every day.
That's incredible. And now with this pandemic that's come on, I'm sure that what you've learned over the past 30 years has really come into play. We have so many people, I mean, most of us were blindsided by this. And I know the skills that you have taught people over the years are coming into play now. I remember back in December, as we were preparing for this new decade, this 2020 clarity of vision, you were teaching us about how to harvest our energy and put it forward into a new life. And I wrote pages of notes when you spoke, and I still have them when I was reviewing them, just because when something hits us like this as blindsided, we don't know where to go from here. And so someone like you is very valuable to share with the world the skills that you have learned and what you've taught people, because it helps us to be able to hear and to learn from someone like you and start to learn how to pivot and change and kind of navigate this time. So I'm hoping you won't mind sharing some of these things that you've shared before, and even new stuff that I haven't heard, because I know you have a lot more things out there that I haven't even heard. So why don't we talk about a little bit about maybe energy, or kind of go from there?
Yeah, I would love to. And yes, body, mind, and spirit, it is energy. It is moving. It is flowing. It is who we are. And if you just think for a moment, when someone walks in the room, they carry an energy with them, and you can feel that energy anywhere on the spectrum that it might be. And, Amy, I have yet to meet the person who has not had some disappointment, some trauma. So, I mean, none of us are getting out of this without rejection, without being blindsided by something, and a pandemic is just one example. So doesn't it make sense that we be the healthiest that we can be, body, mind, and spirit? So when these things happen in life, as they will, you're going to get that phone call that, maybe you're being furloughed or laid off, or your company is out, or maybe you're going to have to work double shifts because you're in a place that's in demand right now. And so the bottom line is that we really need to be healthy. So going back to this energy that you were talking about, the lowest level of energy that someone can carry is the victim mentality. So we're seeing that right now. And for some people, maybe the first time ever, maybe they've always kind of just been able to cruise along, but wow, maybe they were affected by the flu, the actual virus. Maybe they did lose their job. Maybe they had a family member. Maybe they were isolated. I mean, so many things. So it's easy right now for everyone to have a victim mentality. Yet we see in times, even like the Great Depression, where the most millionaires were created than any time before in history. So it also means we don't have to be the victim. But the victim basically feels like, I have no control. Life is happening to me. There's nothing I can do. Almost like Eeyore. There's just a cloud following me. It is nothing but bad news. And they're seeking it. They're searching it out. Like they're looking for the next thing to happen. They're watching the media and they're just letting it dump on them. And they just, they don't have much hope in anything, because life is happening to them, and they're beating themselves up, and they get stuck in this cycle, and they can't ever seem to get out of it, because every day, if you look to be the victim, it will be easy to find that. So it's just a really low level of existence. And I hope you're not there. We probably all know someone who is there. But the good news is energy, again, is flowing. So at any time, we can get out of there. And it doesn't mean that for a moment we might not feel like a victim, but we don't want to stay stuck there. So it's okay to feel like, oh my goodness, my parent just got a diagnosis, or wow, I'm going to have to figure out how to make up income, or, be there, but don't stay there is the point. So you need to kind of go through this continuum of energy, and there may be anger, and that's okay. Like, we're designed to experience anger, but just be able to realize it and work through it, and don't stay angry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay. I mean, there's not a feeling that's really bad as long as you can work through it. It's okay to be depressed a little bit. That is part of the cycle of grief. I had to learn this firsthand myself, because again, we've all gotten that bad news and rejection, but don't stay depressed. Like, work through this until you get to a point where you have a higher level of health, and you'll know that because you'll want to help other people be healthy too. So that's part of, getting out of that victim. But that victim place is, I lose. And no matter what happens, I'm just going to lose. So it's just this loser place without a lot of hope. And the question that I ask my clients is, what lie are you telling yourself that you believe you are a victim and need to stay there? So there's something in your mind that you're saying, I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm too old, I'm too fat, I'm too sick. There's some lie that you're saying that honestly is not true, that can be overcome, that will help to get you out of that victim mentality. So, I'll just kind of pause there for a second and see if you have any feedback or questions on that.
Yeah, and I completely understand that. I have to say, been there, done that. When when this pandemic hit and I had to shut down my in-client business, and I was helping people in person, I've switched to all virtual now. For about a month there, all I did was look at the news, read as many news things as possible. I didn't get on Facebook much. I wasn't posting much. I didn't want to interact. I was doing my breathing to keep myself calm, but that was about it. I was in very low energy spirits, and it took me a while to get out. So I'm curious, what are some steps that you recommend that people take just to kind of help them get out? I mean, I know with running ultra marathons and stuff, I look at, okay, I have to get to the 4 more miles and then just to that next aid station where I know there's some dates and bananas and I can eat. So like, what do you do in real life where it's a little bit more important than running a race, out in the desert? So what do you do? Like, how do you help people just kind of pull themselves out of their situation?
That's great. The self-care is really important. So some simple things are sleep. And so your breathing techniques, my goodness, go back and watch every video that Amy has done. Because if your body is sleep deprived, now you're affecting your brain health, your brain fog, your anxiety, your fear, so sleep is just such a simple thing that, we could spend an hour talking about falling asleep and all the good habits to do that. So please do go look that up. But sleep alone is calming. It regulates your hormones. It de-stresses you. It gets the inflammation out. It puts you in a place where you can make better decisions. So something as simple as sleep, because what happens? We start staying up late at night. We're watching things that put fear in us. Maybe we're drinking or, doing those habits that are not good are just contributing to it, and it is a slippery slope. So you start going, I'll just have a glass of wine, and then a glass of 2, and then you're day drinking, and then, people know sort of what I call the kindergarten habits. I mean, that these, simple things that you knew from kindergarten that were good to do. Drink water as your primary beverage, get some movement in every day, get in the meditation, have quiet time, breathing. You need to self-care to keep yourself calm. If you're always in this, fight or flight, that stresses your body out. That will break your body down. That will break your brain down. So self-care as much as possible. And even if you could start with sleep, water, and breathing and movement, those couple of things can change everything, because now you're in a better position to make better decisions. You can learn, you can be open, you can receive, and you're getting out of that fight mode. So those are just a few simple things that people can do. And then always seek truth. And whether that means through reading something that's truthful, finding a good book like, Napoleon Hill. I mean, there's so many great authors out there. Listen to Kyle Wilson's podcast with some of the greatest personal development. Just feed yourself. For every one negative thing, you need 5 positive things to come in. And maybe that's surrounding yourself with 5 new positive friends. And maybe you don't have them, but it's a podcast that you're going to listen to, a TED Talk, something. But for every one negative thought, you need 5 positive ones. So that might mean setting boundaries on turn off the news, set boundaries on, it might even be people who you're quarantined with that you need to have a boundary with, not to receive a lie or negativity, so that you're feeding yourself good, positive, truthful information.
That's so valuable, and I appreciate that, because sometimes we know that, but we need to hear it, and we need to hear it from people who've gone through that experience. So once we kind of pull ourselves out of that victim mentality, what do you recommend kind of as a next stage that people get to kind of just light a fire under them? And, maybe they have to shift and change careers, or kind of what do you suggest? Like, what's the next step?
Well, keep going for higher levels. So when you first come out of this victim, a lot of people will then go into the, you have to lose for me to win. So, okay, now I'm being bold, I'm epic, I'm blowing up, but I need to start putting other people down and make them bad for me to be good. And so there's, sort of this continuum that happens as you move along, going from victim to, okay, I'm not going to be a victim, but then we'll start pecking at other people to make ourselves feel good. And that's not really a great answer either. So we want to kind of move out of this false superiority, like I'm not going to be a victim, but I'm going to make someone else a victim, and kind of move along out of the closed-mindedness. And for some people, it's just a process. For some people, it can happen in a moment, and they just make that decision and move out of that to the next stage, really being rationalizing. Like, okay, this is where most people are. They're pretty rational, and they realize, like, okay, there's kind of equal ground here. There's opportunity for me. If there's opportunity for someone else, if they can do it, I can do it, kind of thing. And I'm just going to be accepting of people around me, and they're kind of progressing through. I'm still looking out for myself, but I'm just kind of on a better ground right now. And then once they get there, then they kind of progress to the next stage, which is kind of caring about other people. So sometimes you have to get out of your own place. And I've been there too. When tragedy has happened to me, sometimes I need to go and help someone else, because that's why we're in health. We're caregivers. And the downside of that is that we can pour everything into helping someone else, and then we lose ourselves too. So watch your energy, that you're not just giving, and then you start getting resentful, and you start feeling, rejected because you expect something in return. So this is all energy that we really need to balance. So it's a good idea. I like to write things down. I like to journal. I like to keep a calendar of where am I putting my energy. So what is the vision of what I would like to become and accomplish, and sort of my life's work, and how am I spending that energy? Because there's only so much of it to go around in 24 hours. And if I want to sleep a certain amount and self-care a certain amount, I have certain responsibilities, and I want to learn so much. You have to kind of allocate your time to making sure you have things in there that are helping you to grow in the right direction. So give, serve, but have a boundary on that as well, so that all your time is not directed towards, helping a child or a parent, or, just volunteering to your own detriment. And then the next level after the caregiver, and we're getting into higher levels, is now you're the opportunist. Now you're looking at, wow, what is this higher level where I can use my skills and my talent and my ability to really contribute something that can make a difference. And you're not really letting things affect you as much so more. So you're not watching the news and letting all that be an input, but you're going, okay, I'm on a new ground here. I have a new platform here. What can I do with my talents and my passions and my creativity and my resources to really, just maybe reconcile some things, or create some peace, or, not so much that I'm great, but how can I serve in a way that's at a much higher level? And then the last two levels of the energy, the visionary. Now you're at a place where you're like, wow, this is really a deep level of being present. And this has been sort of new for me as I've worked through the season of my life. I've always been striving and going and agenda. And now, like, wow, let me just take a moment and be, and really consider what would be the best thing for me to do right now. So even if my calendar says this, and even if I have these commitments, let me just stop and really look at what's the best use of my energy that's going to serve the greatest possible good for me and anyone in my circle of influence. And that's really a great place to be, to not be striving. And then the highest level of energy really being where you win, I win, everyone wins, just this higher level of being. This is where maybe philosophers, yogis, monks, and that takes time to get to, but where it's not even so much about winning, but being and helping other people have this level of peace and passion and creation. So they're just kind of inviting people to evaluate, where am I now on this continuum of energy? And it could be that in your health, maybe you're at a really high level, and that part is good, but maybe finances, relationships, other areas are kind of low. So maybe we always take this wellness wheel approach where we look at, physical and financial and relational and professional and emotional and spiritual. And so I would invite people, and in my vision casting exercise, I have them do this. So maybe financially you're awesome, but your relationships are a train wreck and your health is not great. And so it's good to look at these energy in different areas of your life and ask yourself, wow, what's working? Because a lot of times we'll stay in a cycle. And sometimes it's for a season. So, for example, maybe we have a health challenge and we've always been healthy. And now we need to dive deeper into that because we're going to get stronger and it's going to serve us and people we meet in the future. Or maybe your finances have always been a train wreck, and what beliefs are happening there that keep you in this cycle of constantly just living, hand to mouth or being behind. So these are just great things to evaluate that I go over in the vision casting. So kind of look at the cycle of your day when you're doing your calendar. Where are you dedicating your energy? So if your finances are a mess and they're chronically a mess, what do you need to do? Do you need to get surrounded by a good financial advisor? Do you need to take a class in basic budgeting? You need to have a heart-to-heart with yourself and be honest and ask yourself, what do I need to do to get out of this rut in this area, or this victim mentality in this area, to take it to an even higher level? So I'm getting by, I'm saving a little, but wow, it could be so much better, because the thing with the energy is you're attracting the same energy you're putting out. So if your beliefs are that, oh, no one in my family had money, we all live this way, or everyone in my family had heart attacks, so I'm just going to have that too. That's what you're attracting energy-wise. So you just need to be conscious of that. So again, I went long, so I'll just stop there, Amy. Hopefully I answered your question.
Yeah, that did. And it's interesting, just on the last comment that you were talking about, where, if we have this negative self-talk, then it's kind of like, we're bringing that because our energy is negative. And then, so if we say, oh, I'm never going to get that, well, no, you're not going to get that. And so, and I think that's very important. I know Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about your thoughts, and what emotional tie you have to your thoughts changes your brain chemistry. And then it kind of sets you up to stay at that energy level or that negativity. And so this is a whole new world to me over the past year. I never heard this growing up, never even was exposed to personal development. And so the idea that if I can cut off that negative self-talk, and we have all done it before, where we're like, oh, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not fit enough, strong enough to do A, B, C, or D. It's like, if we can cut that off and just reframe our brain to think about, well, you know what, I ran that mile faster than I've ever done before, and it has a positive emotion into it, then we take that and it gets us to that next level. Do you have anything else that you suggest for when we have negative self-talk? And I know you've touched on affirmations before. If you wouldn't mind sharing with us a little bit about those two topics, because you said some great stuff at our last Inner Circle with Kyle Wilson about affirmations of like, we need people to hear that.
Yes, I agree. Affirmations basically are self-talk, and we all use it because we're always talking to ourselves in our brains all the time. So it's a matter of looking at, being intentional about how are we talking to ourselves, because there is so much power to words. There's so many references to words, like words are a double-edged sword. They can cut or they can actually help. They can lift things up. I mean, in the beginning, even of the Bible, it says, in the beginning was the Word. And the word spoken or thought has so much power. So the words become our actions, and our actions become our habits. And if 44 or 47 to 84% of what we do is habitual. I mean, when's the last time you thought about shampooing your hair? You're driving to work. I mean, it's automatic. So much of what we do is automatic. It's really important that those things are intentional and moving us in the direction that we want to go. So one thing you can do first is sort of identify, what is it the habit that I want to create? So you can look at something you have that you want to get rid of. Let's say I just helped someone with nail biting. That's never been an issue for me. I can't imagine sitting there. But this man is a highly successful man who's 60 years old, and for 40 years he's been biting his nails. He's been embarrassed of his nails, and he's always hiding them. And within a short amount of time, he was able to stop biting his nails after years. And so we created an affirmation for him, and he kept saying it throughout the day. And within a short time, he would send me pictures. His nails were growing. He now gets manicures. And so, I mean, that's just a small example, but even if you want to start exercising, if you want to stop drinking, I mean, any of those things, start with a thought, start with creating a powerful affirmation. One that I used recently that I shared on a call that we were on with Kyle Wilson was, I have two teenagers. They're 18 and 19. They've got cell phones, cars, they're in college, they've got jobs. So they're just in the season where they think they know everything and mom knows nothing. And that's been frustrating for me. And I found myself starting to just like, oh man. So I had to stop myself and say, when I think of my children, I speak life and blessing. And within a short amount of time, our relationship really changed. They started coming to me for advice and checking in with me more, sending me pictures, sending me texts. And so it kind of went from, I saw this happening and, there's a natural pulling away, but I just like caught myself going, man, these kids are, ugh. And I had to stop and say, when I think about my kids, I speak life and blessing. And so it's incredible. I mean, I have a few of mine written down here that I'm happy to share that I wrote back in December.
I would love to.
I am present because I don't live in the past or the future. I'm fully alive, body, mind, and spirit, as I'm designed to be, and I walk in that state. I am flowing in abundance, surrounded by wise people who support me. I breathe effortlessly. My body is relaxed and my mind is free. I'm smiling because I am happy and awakening the true Kelli within. I'm beaming because I love my kids unconditionally and because we are connected. And I'll do one more. I am joy-filled because Jesus is my husband. He loves me unconditionally and he adores me. So these were just a few that I wrote down, and I've got pages. I mean, I read these every day. And it just helps to ground me and remind me. And if I find myself getting into this negative cycle, I can stop myself and speak truth and read those affirmations, and it resets me pretty quickly. Instead of having a down day or week or month, it just becomes a moment. And I go, oh yeah, this is the truth. Let me speak this. And so when you say I am, it alerts your brain like, okay, I'm talking about myself. Another affirmation is when I. So if you find yourself getting negative, when I get negative, I read my affirmations. Or something that you do that you know is going to happen. Like one of my clients, him and his wife have been quarantined, they kind of been fighting, and she sets him off, and he says, when my wife starts to upset me, I walk out of the room and I breathe. So you need to do something different to retrain your brain. And it changed how she responded to him, how he responded to her. So you can do when I, because something is going to happen. We have someone in a circle that he was an athletic director. So he was around kids all day long, and he would come home to his own kids. So he would say, when I pull in the garage, I take 5 minutes and breathe before I go into my home. And so that was just his reset. He knew he was going to pull in the garage whenever he got home at some point, and he was going to become dad, husband, and leave his job behind. If you wanted to, for example, start taking vitamins and you brush your teeth every day, you can say, when I take brush my teeth, I will take my vitamins. So it's called habit stacking. So you're stacking something you do with something you want to do. So that's another way to write affirmations. Either after I wake up, I put my feet on the ground and I say, it is a great day. And when you add physiology to it, like saying, it is a great day, just kind of pumping your fists and standing up, you put your feet on the ground, you're going to wake up at some point and say, it is a great day. And you might need to redo that. I have clients who, when they make a sale, if they're in sales, they get up and they do a happy dance. And they just do a little celebration dance when they make a sale. And one of my clients, he has a dog, and when he jumps up and do the happy dance, the dog jumps up too, and the dog starts going in circles. And so it's just something you're anchoring with an affirmation. So you're changing a pattern, changing a thought, writing a powerful statement, and that's part of the vision casting too. That you will write these powerful statements. Once you figure out what the vision is, you back it up. You keep backing it up until you get to the smallest point that you can stop yourself, you can change your thinking, change your habit, change your energy in a moment, instead of losing a whole season because of one bad news. Because you lost your job, because things were shut down, because someone got sick. whatever it is, man, life's just going to be hard. We're going to get bad news almost every day, but look for the good news. Like, seek it out, do the gratitude every day, write them down. We have a gratitude jar in my house where we write out what we're thankful for. And every once in a while at the dinner table, we sit down and we open this jar and we read through those. And it's impressive to look at even the smallest things that you're thankful for. I mean, I'm thankful for this pen. Start somewhere. Everyone has something to be thankful for.
I really like when you were talking about affirmations. So that's something that's new to me over the past year. But I like that you say I am, or when this happens, I am. It's not I think. It's you are stating a fact. And it makes it a more permanent change in your body and your mindset. And so that's a very nice distinction between, I kind of think I'm smart, instead, no, I have the intelligence to read this book, or I have the intelligence to get through this course. Like, you are achieving something. And I like how you say that, use your body. Anytime you add in more senses to anything that you're doing, it helps that stay with you longer, and it makes more of an impact on you to continue on.
Yes, it is. Like I said, it's all connected, the body, the mind, and the spirit. That's why we want to be as well as we can in all three, because the body may go down. I mean, our bodies are getting older as well as we take care of them. So we want to just keep it all as best we can. Keep your brain sharp. My goodness, we could spend so much time just talking about brain health, all the things that we can do to keep our brain sharp. But yeah, you want to wake up and be your best. So, I just encourage people, don't do anything that is going to harm yourself. And I'm not saying don't be bold and don't be adventurous and don't take risks and, go do fun things out in the world that are physical, but don't harm yourself. I mean, drugs, alcohol, it's a slippery slope. I mean, we've seen people go downhill fast, and it's just really sad. So encourage people to get help, whatever it takes. Some people can make a decision. They say, I'm going to stop smoking, and they stop, and that's it. And other people, they need more, and they stop and start, and they need support. And there's so many great programs out there. So I would say be relentless in whatever you need to do to be well, but start small. If you're not exercising, walk around your house, and then walk around your block, and then, get a buddy. There's so many things that you can do to be well. Get an app, track things. You know how you're wired. So try different things until you find something that works. Some people like an app, some people don't. Some people need a buddy. Some people are disciplined enough on their own, just making a decision. We're all wired a little bit differently, but there are things out there that do work, and so many of them are for free. So get support.
Yeah, and support is very important. And I know a lot of times when we're faced things, we may gain some skills that we can apply, but sometimes we need someone in our life to really help us. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about your vision casting. And I know you've helped many clients with various types of coaching over the years. So can you tell us a little bit about vision casting? You've done a little bit now, but what are some of the more details about it? And we've put down at the bottom there how people can reach you, but I just wanted to, if we could share a little bit more, that would be great.
Yeah, so I'm a big believer in vision. In fact, I don't know if you can see it. I'll tilt my camera a little bit, but I've got a bunch of vision boards from like the last 13 years that are all piled up there. And I've got my new one is right over here, so I see it every day. But without vision, people perish. I mean, that goes back thousands of years. If you don't have a vision, it's like Groundhog Day. You just get up every day, you stay in the same cycle, and we just see too many people who kind of let their life go by with untapped potential. We are all working with such a fraction of what we're capable of, our creativity, and wow, I mean, there's just so much brain power that we don't even use. So, this exercise kind of takes you through, what excites you? Where are your talents? What gives you energy? Go back to your childhood and think about, what excited you then that maybe you never did, that you always wanted to do, or what dream kind of died inside you that maybe needs to be resurrected. So it really walks you through very workshop-y kind of, just and do what comes to your heart, do what comes to your mind. Just kind of write and take the time, and you'll see some overlap. You'll see some patterns, and you'll see like, wow, this is something I really value, and these are what my traits are. And I go through this exercise every year myself. Who is Kelli? I always have a word of the year that is my guiding word for the year, and it's the lens that I look through the entire year from. And I ask myself, is what I'm doing moving me towards that or away from that? Because there's only 4 things we can do with our time. We can do more of something, less of something, start something, or stop something. So my word for 2020 is awaken. And for me, this word was about, what do I need to be awakened from that I no longer want to be? So looking at, okay, I no longer want to be negative, judgmental, enabling, controlling. Like I need to be alerted and awakened to like, wow, that's how I don't want to be any of those things anymore. That is not good at all. But also awaken to, who am I to become? How do I get to that intentionally fabulous, just living in a vulnerable, just creative, all-out, bold, epic life that I want to have, influencing people to be healthy? So this word awaken is my lens for the year. My word for the decade is profit, because what I do, I want there to be fruit from. I want lives impacted. So I help you to find that word. Some of my previous words have been generous, disciple, suddenly, joy-filled, partner, influencer. And again, I just use that word to kind of stop myself, that one powerful word, and say, am I doing that or not doing that? So the year that I had partner, wow, I created some incredible partnerships that year, and you're intentional about it. So that is just part of getting down to that word, part of that vision casting. And once you have it, then you have a framework for how to spend your moments of your year. And the word really never stops when the year ends. So I always want to be generous. I always want to, be available to suddenly getting a phone call or an opportunity or a door closing, and just be okay with that suddenly and not controlling it. Always being open to the right partnerships, and then really being discerning of, is this something valuable to invest in or not? Just because the world is coming at us so fast, and we need to be able to go, hold on, does this line up with my vision? It might be a good opportunity, but it might not be for me now in this season. We can't say yes to everything. Kyle Wilson has an amazing podcast with Darren Hardy where he says no way more than he says yes, because it allows him to say yes to the right thing. So it's important to have vision. Otherwise, you're on a ship to nowhere. I mean, you're just like being tossed around by the world. Whatever comes at you, you're letting happen to you, rather than you creating what it is that you're designed for. It doesn't mean don't be open to a plan B, because that happens all the time. And sometimes plan B is better than our plan A. So be open, and just have a mindset where you can make the best of every situation.
That's wonderful. And we all need this. I mean, we all need someone to help us. And your program sounds like a great way for people to kind of develop their vision, and then you have those goals, you have things to look forward to. And I imagine part of that is finding those things that really resonate inside you, that lift up your energy. So one nice thing about doing something like this with you is how to bring people's energies higher. You know how to change their mindset. So something like this, it's probably part of just when you're working with them with vision casting, that it helps them get on that path so that we're not so down. And especially now where we're trying to figure out what's up or down or right or left, it's pretty valuable. So thank you. I really appreciate you sharing with us about what you're doing for people. And if anyone wants to, they can email you at kelli@kellicalabrese.com.
Yes.
And they can connect with you, and I assume just have a nice little conversation with you and see how you can help them. Is that correct?
I would love that. Yes, I would love that.
Okay, wonderful. Well, anything else, any remaining last pieces of advice you would like to share with any of our viewers and listeners today?
Yeah, I would say, when you're doing the vision casting, really look at what some of the fears are that you have had, and just shine the light on them and look at, are those things really truthful? Because so many of us are driven by fear, and it's just not the way to live. It will keep you down, it will keep you sick and depressed. And so anything that you can do to do the opposite of fear, which is freedom, is what we're going for. So just imagine living in this place where you felt free, where you had choice, where your energy was flowing, where you could be the one who, when you walked in the room, people could just feel that great energy, and you're someone who wouldn't come to, that would love them unconditionally, and also receiving the same for yourself in return. So that's kind of the goal to get there. And, it's a process. So love yourself through it, and surround yourself with people who have this, same aspiration, that they want to get to these higher levels of just being. Letting love win is really my ultimate goal every day. And also guarding your own heart is important. So for me, evaluating is really what's important. Always looking at what's working, what's not, because we only have so much time, and you want to be the best you can be every day.
I love that, and I really appreciate it. I want to read a couple of comments real quick before we wrap up. We had Emily Miller said hi. Ken Walls, who we just met through Kyle, the master of Facebook Live, he said hello. One person said, very cool to see two strong, successful women exchanging words and ideas. Love it. Even Ron White, the memory champion, joined us and gave us some smiles. A friend of mine, Ken Clark, said, good info. Thank you, Kelly. Steve LaChance said, Tom Bilyeu is very positive. I'm not familiar with him, but
awesome.
Okay, he said he avoids the news and it's draining.
Yes.
And then another lady, Laura Boudreau, she says hello, and she wants to know if you're on YouTube at all.
I am not, but that is one of my intentions, to get on there. I'm completely rebranding myself. I've been known as the Wellness Mompreneur, and I have a new brand. I won't say it yet. I actually mentioned it in a little bit of our talk today. I said the words. So in my rebranding, I will have a new YouTube channel. So yes, stay tuned.
Stay tuned then. Okay. Well, we'll have to share that when you get that launched, because it sounds like people would like to follow you on that. Anyways, well, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate all the wisdom and words that you have shared with all of our viewers. And I'll make sure this goes up on YouTube and other platforms, just because a lot of people need to hear what you have to share. And we can't wait to see your new brand that comes out and all that you're doing. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Amy. It's my pleasure. I'm happy to do it. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Bye, guys. And we'll see you again next week.
Thank you.